And we need to put in a law, as Dr. Masanga said, to regulate. And in fact, do you know how you can regulate these people from starting a campaign earlier? You are told that if you start your campaign earlier, it is deemed that you have spent your own money during the normal time of campaign, you have no money to spend. I think it may be a deterrent. For now, Miriam, I submit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. Douglas Kirimi, the issue of campaign money and election funding.
Thank you, Miriam. I think parties should be able to be very true to themselves and also true to what guides these parties. Because at the end of the day, they keep running around, and we know very well they do not qualify for these political funds. These affiliate parties to NASA, to ODM in the NASA coalition, do not qualify for those funds, and those funds were the party that qualified is ODM and also Jubilee Party of Kenya. So I think at the end of the day, they need to also swallow their pride and also work very hard so that they can be able to share these funds later in time, or maybe in future when they can be able to have enough support where they can qualify for these numbers. And another thing, another perspective that we need to look at, the way campaigns are done in Kenya, Haugas a lot about the corruption that is also permitted by these party honchos and also these party supporters when it comes to now the aftermath of the campaigns. Because, Miriam, I don't believe a party like ODM can spend billions of shillings, and when that party now decides to ask its members who have been elected for political office, governors and MPs, for some funds, if now corruption goes through and these parties have been funded by the same individuals, it also gives us a lot of bad issues to deal with afterwards. Because at the end of the day, when corruption is permitted by these parties, it is the endemic problem that we have been dealing with in Africa. I also believe that we should be able to cap these fund and any political parties funding, and especially the way candidates of different parties raise their funds and also the much they can spend in a campaign. That law should be very effective and should be followed up, Miriam, so that we can be able to know how much a party spends and how much a party is supposed to spend. Because, Miriam, the more we keep spending huge amounts of money using these political parties, the same way we should not feel bad when these parties, when they get into power, they get corrupt and also bring down economies. And it has been seen somewhere else in Africa, Miriam. We cannot be able to continue allowing huge campaign spending, whereas the returns on the investment are nowhere to be seen. They can only be traced to corruption, Miriam. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That was Douglas Kirimi. Remember, we're looking at the weekend paper and politics here in Kenya, and the show is Africa Showdown. Javan Karanja, your thoughts on this election funding?
Thank you very much, Miriam, and the rest of the panelists. First and foremost, I agree with the statements made by the previous contributors to the topic that we need to regulate the amount of money used by our politicians. Because, Miriam, if you overspend in a campaign and you get elected, first of all, the first thing you'll do is to recover the amount of money that you used in that campaign. And because maybe the salary will not be enough, what you'll do, you'll engage in public money laundering and eating taxpayers' resources. Therefore, that is the reason most we need to regulate. Number two, if we don't regulate this issue, we end up having leaders who are the incumbent are stealing money from the public's coffers so that they can come and donate to people, so that they can come and ruin and buy votes, because to some extent they end up buying votes. Therefore, this is the reason why they end up stealing, and that is why corruption in this country remains a pandemic that we are dealing with, because these people, they steal and they come to give to the people of Kenya. Look at the kind of campaigns that are being conducted by the Deputy President. president. Every time he has disposable cash that he goes around giving to young people, giving to the guys he calls mama bogas and boda boda guys. Where does he get this money from? That is why you end up associating himself and you end up seeing him being mentioned in various corruption scandals because he must get resources to fund this expensive campaign that they are doing. Therefore, at the end of the day, we need to regulate how we do things in this country to avoid overburdening Kenyans with the taxes when this money runs to few people, individual pockets, because at the end of the day, Kenyans taxpayers will pay and fill the holes, fill the gaps that were created when this money was taken from the national coffers. Number two, Miriam, the reason why we have a heated presidential ballot and we end up having fights is because you spend to the last penny of what you have, and you end up having an IBC, an electoral commission that is not fair. You end up having your victory stolen. Miriam, you run mad, and that is why you find these people becoming violent after maybe losing an election, because when they look the amount of money they have spent, when they look they have not gone to the offices maybe they hoped to get into. Miriam, that is the reason why they end up having people and their supporters coming in huge numbers to demonstrate and to do all manner of dramas so that maybe they can get some small possessions here and there, maybe to try and recover the amount of money that they have used. Miriam, then, if we use all this money without having some regulations, that is why we end up having some group of young people being trained to be some form of militias by these politicians to support them, because they end up getting this free money and they end up being misused by politicians to cause chaos and havoc. Therefore, we need this regulation. On the issue of ODM and Wiper, the affiliate parties of NASA should understand that ODM was a big brother in the NASA coalition. ODM has the largest number of members of parliament. Therefore, they deserve to get what they are getting. Therefore, the likes of Wiper and the ANC, they should ensure that they work harder on their regions to ensure that they command a huge following and they have a good number of members of parliament and senators and MCs under their ticket, so that they can get at least a good share when they go to other alliance as we head to 2022 general election. Therefore, everyone should get what they deserve. If you have small numbers, you should be satisfied with what you got, because it is the people of Kenya who decided that fate, Miriam. Therefore, on that point, I submit.
All right, thank you so much. We are reacting to the main story on the Sunday Nation. Now let's turn our attention quickly to the Sunday Standard. And there's a story just up there before we get to the main headline. Muturi rules out running on Jubilee. Since we're looking at Kenyan politics, the story is on page 23 of the Sunday Standard. I'll just read a bit of it. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has ruled out running for office on President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party. Muturi, a close ally of the president, is however keeping cards close to his chest and has promised to name his vehicle of choice in a few months. He's quoted as saying, "It is difficult for one to identify himself with Jubilee as it is right now. Today, you don't know who is in Jubilee apart from those who were elected. Who else is in Jubilee at the grassroots?" So this is the Speaker of the National Assembly, courtesy of the Jubilee Party, and he is telling us that today it is very difficult to identify yourself as being in Jubilee Party. What is he telling us, Samuel Sawish?
Thank you so much, Miriam, for that question. I think it reminds me yesterday, the Jubilee allied leaders or politicians who are actually in Meru County, and maybe my brother Douglas Kirimi will be in a better position really to tell us how the event went on. But again, I had the privilege of watching, and of course, I've also read through the media about that particular event and why Jubilee is now very keen on galvanizing its support right from the grassroots to make sure that it becomes the formidable party that it once was when it went to 2013 as a coalition and 2017 general election as a party. And therefore, as we head into 2022, the people within the Jubilee, especially the officials, people who are elected on Jubilee Party and those who are supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta's agenda and their supporters are very keen to make sure that they revamp and make Jubilee Party a very formidable party as we head into 2022. But Miriam, again, something surprising is that we have Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, who is serving his second term as Speaker of the National Assembly, courtesy of the Jubilee Coalition and Jubilee Party, and courtesy of, I will put it, President Uhuru Kenyatta. That is why he's actually serving as the Speaker of the National Assembly. I wouldn't quite say that he has not served with exemplary as maybe most of us had hoped. He's done his very best as the Speaker of the National Assembly, but I think it's an act of betrayal for the Speaker to come out now and say that much as we cannot gag him from pursuing an ambition maybe to become or to contest for presidency come 2022, but it will be at the height of hypocrisy for him to come out now at this particular time when Jubilee is facing that internal wrangle and rebellion from those who are fighting President Uhuru Kenyatta. Therefore, as ordinary people, we will almost be forgiven to conclude that the Speaker of the National Assembly is part and parcel of a group of rebel politicians who are out to frustrate and fight President Uhuru Kenyatta in the Jubilee Party. Because again, much as it remains apolitical because he's the Speaker of the National Assembly, he may not have necessarily been appointed as a Jubilee member, but because of course, his maybe alliance with President Uhuru Kenyatta or because of his qualification. But again, it would have just been in order for him to serve his term as the Speaker to the end, and also come out and support President Uhuru Kenyatta, one, in accomplishing his agenda for the people of Kenya, and more so in rebuilding Jubilee as a party. But Miriam, you know, as for the Kenyan politics, it is anything is possible. You don't need quite to be surprised that Speaker of the National Assembly is coming out to say that he will be contesting for presidency and more so on a different political party. If a whole deputy president, a whole deputy party leader of the Jubilee Party is now advancing the ideals and principles of a different party in the name of UDA, the Hustler movement, I mean, leaving out Jubilee Party and exposing his very own boss and party leader, President Uhuru Kenyatta. So how will we be in a position really to criticize Speaker Justin Muturi, an ordinary person who in the first place may not have been even a member of the Jubilee Party, for deciding maybe to contest for presidency and citing that, or maybe giving a possibility that he will contest for presidency on a different ticket altogether. So I think all this kind of rebellion, all these kinds of renegades that we are seeing within the Jubilee Party and those who have been supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta have taken the cue from Deputy President William Ruto, because he's the second highest ranking individual when it comes to power, political power in the country, when it comes to Jubilee as a party. And so when Deputy President comes out and does what he's doing against the wishes and will of the President and the supporters of Jubilee, it quite makes it easy, or it justifies even other people who are at the lower rank really to take the cue that they're taking. So I think it is Deputy President William Ruto who actually gave us the first cue of the bad manners that we are seeing, especially amongst the leaders within the Jubilee and more so those who have been supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta. But again, Miriam, as I submit, maybe I will just want to say we wish him very well as the election. But by the end of the day, of course, the Kenyan people will have the ultimate decision, Miriam.
All right. Thank you so much, Samuel. I wish Chevan Karanja has asked if he could be allowed just to chip in quickly. He has something he has to attend to. So, Chevan, on the issue of Speaker of the National Assembly, what are you hearing Muturi to be saying?
Miriam, thank you very much. And I think sometimes back we are wrong when we confuse. We attributed the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, to be a supporter of the president, because yesterday when we had the meeting of Mount Kenya leaders at Kenya Methodist University in Meru, Muturi and his team, led by Kraito Murungi and Mithika Linturi, they didn't attend. And Miriam, when other leaders are working to ensure that we rebrand Jubilee, we restructure and we streamline Jubilee, and we clear the house and we clean the house and we remove all the rats and all the chaff that have been disturbing our house, Justin Muturi is busy telling us that he is not considering Jubilee as a party to be his vehicle as he runs for president in 2022 general election. Therefore, this shows clearly that there are some people in government who are determined to ensure that they scrabble this party, they petition this party into small fragments so that they can benefit individually. Therefore, it is high time that we, the people who support the president, to start looking clearly who are loyal to president and those who are just there to buy time, because the deputy president is on record saying that there are members in Jubilee who are just buying time. And before November this year, they will decamp and follow his UDA team. I don't want to believe that the Speaker of the National Assembly was among the people who are being described by the Deputy President. Therefore, it is high time that the Jubilee as a house, they sit and they reorganize themselves. But all said and done, we wish Muturi all the best as he runs for presidency, because as I've been saying, the presidency is not an entitlement. It's not a seat that is to be owned by a few individuals. It belongs to the people of Kenya, and Kenyans will determine who they want to be their next leaders we head to 2020 general election. Therefore, everyone is welcome. Let them bring, and the best they can do is to give us tangible solutions, tangible policies and ideologies that can better and advance this country to the next level. But they should not bring us the retrogressive divisions like the Hustler versus Dynasty and some other mechanisms that are being used by the Deputy President. But at the end of the day, Kenyans will decide. But they should understand that as Muturi goes to seek presidency, he should understand that the Mount Kenya region, we have been producing this presidency for a quite period of time. And President Uhuru Kenyatta, riding on the logic behind the Hustler and the Dynasty's notion, he said that it is high time also that we can decide to have this presidency rotating to other regions. Therefore, Muturi should seek coalitions with other like-minded individuals who can take this country to the next level. But if he feels the Deputy President is the man to beat, he should go there and leave other Mount Kenya leaders to determine their fate. Because at the end of the day, Kenyans will have a presidency after the tenure of President Uhuru Kenyatta. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much, Evan Karanja. Daniel Wesonga.
Yes, thank you, Miriam Ogutu. And one thing I would really actually like to outline is that President Uhuru Kenyatta lacks very, very loyal foot soldiers in Mount Kenya region. You've seen the likes of Kiraitu Murungi flip-flopping about supporting Jubilee. It shouldn't be a matter of principle when the Speaker of the National Assembly, Muturi, talks ill about the party that is actually serving a mandate under the Jubilee party. If it were in some developed democracies, let's say like a ANC party or maybe ZANU in Zimbabwe, then Muturi would have been expected to tender his resignation as the Speaker of the National Assembly and be able to seek mandate or maybe focus on whichever party that he's seeking to maybe vie on in 2022. And that brings to light, Miriam, the kind of harlotry, the kind of complacency as a country that we have accustomed ourselves to, in that someone today might jump out of ODM or Jubilee Party or Ford Kenya or ANC, and tomorrow they wake up with a new party which they have registered, and they go ahead to declare that they want to run for presidencies. I think that is not something that should be happening in a democracy that actually prides itself to be a big democracy in the continent. We need to come up with laws, perhaps through legislation and the registrar of political parties, where we are able to tell these politicians that maybe if you form a party today, apart from maybe being required to have branches in the 47 counties, also we have to put a cap on your political party, in that this party must have been in existence maybe for at least 5 years before it can have the right to declare or maybe have a presidential flag bearer, so that we do not have parties like we are seeing today. Yesterday Moses Kuria was in PEP. Today he is actually popularizing Chama cha Kazi. Yesterday William Ruto was in Jubilee. Today he's saying that he's going to vie in UDA, of which we are not even sure, because the owners of UDA have come back for it. So he might actually vie for another village party. He might take it back and rebrand it and be his vehicle for 2022. So that is something that should not be happening in a democracy that is looking forward to mature itself and be able to build structures that are long-lasting. What happened to parties like KANU, parties like KADU, parties like ODM right now actually is the only party that has, apart from KANU, that has gone without winning so much for over a decade or so. So we need to sit down as a people. We need to look at the structures of our political parties. We need to build structures that will ensure that if you're a member of a political party, the law does not allow allow you to jump from one political party even without resigning from the other and be able to run for office. Until then, Miriam, we shall not have quite some good structures and even the returns from our leadership, because someone will be serving on this particular party, but the moment they are disgruntled, they are then jumping the ship and they are going to vie on another party. And that is what has orchestrated the defiance that is in Jubilee Party, that is actually affecting the legacy of the president. Because I'm very sure if we had such legislation that you cannot move from one party to the next and be able to vie as a presidential candidate on that party, if you have not been a member for even, let's say, at least 5 or 2 years, then William Ruto would have sat pretty well in Jubilee Party. He would have been humble, so that maybe perhaps if the heavens open up, he might be declared the Jubilee Party candidate and therefore be able to run for office. But because our structures are that weak, politicians are always jumping from one party to another, and that even affects the service delivery. It affects the agenda of the government of the day, because remember, Jubilee is the ruling party, and if you have members of Jubilee Party who do not believe in the party agenda or do not believe that the party is strong enough to be able to run in the next general election, then they will not be fully committed to the agenda of the party, and that affects the delivery and the legacy of the president. So therefore, we should cease using our political parties just as vehicles of winning the next general election, and the moment we are across the bridge, we do away with them. That is very retrogressive. That will weaken our structures of leadership in the country. I submit.
Right, thank you so much. So now Muturi said the party he will use to contest is still work in progress, and is quoted as saying the situation now is shaky because Jubilee failed to take the opportunity of turning itself into a powerful party with presence across the country, and yet he's still a member of Jubilee Party. Matter of fact, a national speaker, courtesy of a Jubilee Party. What is happening here? The lack of manners in our political parties, Douglas Kirumi.
Miriam, for Muturi, Speaker of National Assembly, Justin Bidan Joka Muturi, to go out there and call my party, Jubilee Party of Kenya, a party that has not become powerful as he wanted. He is a speaker, courtesy of Jubilee Party of Kenya. The first thing he should do tomorrow morning is to resign as a speaker so that he can pursue his presidential ambitions, backed by Keraito Murungi, who has said that Jubilee Party is dead. These people are misadvising Speaker Justin Muturi, and they are also calling him so that he can be able to show us his underbelly. He is very ungrateful, a man that was taken from the periphery by the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, and made him something after he failed to capture any seat in his Chicago backyard back in Embu County. This is a man that has been made a speaker for over 9 years now, a man that now finds Jubilee Party not to be a viable party to run for president, a party that has won presidential elections twice, Miriam. Twice. This party has won presidential elections 3 times, actually, and this is the same man who has served continuously as a Jubilee speaker. He is the speaker today because the President of the Republic of Kenya, who is the party leader of Jubilee Party, finds that Muturi, a man from Bere who has failed to become anything political since he failed in 2007, he has never amounted to anything political, except when he was taken from the political periphery by the president and made speaker without a lot of competition. Miriam, I have no kind words for Speaker Justin Muturi. If he wants to find another party, he can go and form his own party so that he can at least uplift another soul and make them speaker when he becomes president. But his dreams are far-fetched because, Miriam, like I've said, this is a man even whose people have no trust in him. They have no trust in Muturi. The only person who was left standing is the Jubilee Party leader who had faith in Muturi and made him speaker for 9 years. Despite his incompetence everywhere he has gone, Muturi has become a speaker for the Jubilee Party of Kenya. This is an ungrateful soul. He joins the list of many others, Rigathi Gachagua, William Rutos of this world, people who are very ungrateful to President Uhuru Kenyatta for making something out of their lives, Miriam. And I feel sad that he dismembers and destroys our party, Jubilee Party of Kenya, that has made him speaker. At least if I was made the speaker in 2013 of the National Assembly, I would be very grateful to the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Jubilee Party of Kenya. This is a shameless man who continues enjoying the state Rajis as a speaker and also continues enjoying our taxes as a speaker. But he is not grateful to our party. He says that the party refused to become a powerful party. What more does Speaker Muturi want? He has become a speaker of the powerful Jubilee Party of Kenya, and Kanumani, when he was the Secretary General Miriam. We have a man that is very ungrateful, joined by William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, Moses Kuria, name them, all the people. The choir master is William Ruto, who has continued dismembering and destroying Jubilee Party as we know it. It is a big shame, Miriam, that the Speaker Muturi finds Jubilee Party of Kenya unattainable today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama.
Thank you, Miriam. I am very surprised because, you know, Miriam, before I make comment, let me tell you where I come from. That even if your mother has one eye, you do not view the other eye as a blind eye. You view it as a beauty spot because she's the one who brought you to this world, and you have benefited a lot. Coming to the discussion at hand, Miriam, I am surprised by the behavior of politicians in this country, Miriam. And I must say, one, the IEBC has failed because it needs to bring into order all the politicians and those who declare that they are going to stand as presidential candidates. Miriam, what does the law say? Before you declare that you are going to stand as a president, you must be nominated from your party that you are the flag bearer. Let us be very clear, Monica, here. Some people are sleeping on their jobs. I don't know whether it's the Electoral Commission, whether it is the political parties, whether it is the courts, I don't know. By the way, there is a lot of irregularities taking place from politicians. Do you know why, Miriam, why sometimes I admire Oginga Odinga's Raila Odinga so much? Do you know why he has never declared that he's going to stand? Because as far as he's concerned, he's a veteran and he knows he has not been officially nominated to carry the flag bearer of ODM. That is why he doesn't want to come out that I'm going to stand as the president, because ODM has not given him a ticket. Let me ask Muturi, and I look him into eyes, who has given him the ticket to stand in 2022? Whose flag bearer is he carrying? Unless he's going to stand as an independent candidate, which he has not declared. Muturi has been a magistrate. He is a lawyer who understands the procedure. By the way, he's completely out of order. You cannot declare that you are going to stand for presidency and you even don't know which party you are going to stand in. Oh my goodness, Monica. What has happened to our people? For once, can we follow basic procedure? I expected him, because he is the speaker in parliament and the standing orders are very meticulous in procedure. Why can't he show the way? I want to tell him, you cannot declare you are going to stand for presidency until you are nominated by a party which you will carry a flag bearer for. No wonder, Miriam, before I conclude, I entirely admired a lady called Margaret Thatcher. You know, she once rebuked the politicians. She said Like nappies must be replaced most often, otherwise they will stink. I submit, Miriam.
Right, thank you so much. Very well said, Dr. Joseph Nchama. Dr. David Matanga.
Miriam, this is a very worrying trend. There are three words I want to use now and summarize everything you people have talked. One, it all builds up to disintegration of a state. Is there anybody who disagrees with me? We have been talking this morning about the party funding. We have now come to the party structure formation, which is the structure, basic structure of democracy is the party. And now we have come to character. Disintegration of a state, the character of a state, and the third and the last, which is very, very important, the lack of fatigue evaluation. Nachama should have told us as a Christian on Sunday that once salt loses, when salt becomes saltless, there is no more salt anymore. Dr. Nyachama, I think, am I right?
You are right, Dr.
If salt becomes saltless, there is no salt anymore. Muturi has become saltless. He can't make it. Now, how do you go back to parliament and preside over a parliament when you have already targeted one party and said he can't stand on it? Yet it is the same party that gave you. This morning, Miriam, I wrote something that has triggered so many people to come for me, and that even many people to support me. What is happening in Kenya is like this. A thief goes out, steals your property. After some time, the thief comes back in the same village and starts dishing out parts of your property, including yourself, and tells you, for you, I've given you that plot near the river down there. For you, I know your children are at school, but take one to buy uniform. Put yourself in the shoes of a Kenyan. You in that society. If it was Wesonga, I just want one answer from each of you. Comes back, dishes everything, then even tells you that he will be coming next time again to give you the same. And yet it is your property. It's yours, Miriam. That's what is happening in Kenya today. People destroyed their political parties. They formed them, they eat them, they destroy them, and then come around and say, I don't know it. Wesonga, beginning with you, what would you say to?
Yes, my answer will be...
No, don't give me long answers.
Yes.
Let me give you suggestions. Would you be restorative or retributive?
Retributive. They have to return whatever they took from us.
Okay, thank you. Nyachama?
If he remains to return to me, if he has given me 10%, I will tell him, you owe me 90%.
Yes, but now, you are now retributive.
Yes.
Miriam?
Same, retributive.
Douglas? What would you say? He gives you what?
What is left? I want everything.
Okay. Mr. Tawish?
Oh, precisely, Daktari. I want everything that belongs to me.
Thank you very much. You have summed up exactly what Dr. Nyachama said. If your mother has got one eye, do you punish the eye or you say it is a beauty? 2, you have summed out the state of affairs of what Kenya is. You need restorative justice, not retributive. You see, all of you here now said, Apana, ile ingine iko wapi? No, exactly. Have you seen Douglas went further to say, ile ingine 90% iko wapi? And by the time Douglas says that, ako napanga kwa mkononi. You never know. Or a gun. Nyachama, a Christian, like a Matanga, we go to the same church. He's saying no. So the state that we are in this country, and remember my words, hallelujah. If we don't do a BBI, let's meet near the gates of hell. Thank you. Have I summarized it very nicely? If you don't do a BBI and you forgive each other, reconcile, as Uhuru said, please don't waste much of electricity talking about this. Prepare for the worst. Have you seen just a small sample here? How many of you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where would you come to the village and tell me that I'm useless? You are giving me my own property. No. So Kenya needs a BBI, a redemption strategy. Less than that, no, go. Very soon people will tell you, I don't know. Have you seen what is happening in Ethiopia? Did I say wrong here, Miriam? When the Prime Minister Abe went to shake hands on the same day to a Faki, what did the Matanga say? Then go and remove my degrees and throw them and ban them. If this doesn't happen here, it will be a miracle. If you have Muturi telling Uhuru Kenyatta that Jubilee is not a party, then what stops Muturi from allowing a motion of no confidence in Uhuru Kenyatta? Have you looked at the other angle? as you ponder over that, start the other topic. Are we there now? Do you agree with me, gentlemen, lady and gentlemen?
Absolutely.
That's the state we are in. We need a redemption strategy. Kenya needs to rebuild, to reconcile, to change the behavior, to change the mindset. Otherwise, Kenya is headed into a retributive society. When the politicians start campaigning, do you know what they will say? Ruto went and stole the money and took it, then he's giving us handout. Someone is going to go on the platform like that. And the people are going to burn people's houses. They said that is a house built by our money. I am telling you. It's better to say it now and be labeled a bad man than to be praised. Because what I've said has never gone wrong. I told you Ethiopia will be no more. Are you not going to discuss it now? As we speak now, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Tigray soldiers are marching towards Addis Ababa. Hallelujah. What did I tell you? It's not coming from a hearsay. The spokesman of Tigray Liberation, TPLF, is another finger of Matanga. We have been together for a long time. Even when I carried suitcases of videos to go and defend Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto in the ICC during Kibaki days, that's the man who rescued me from the airport himself. He was a Minister of Information and National Security. I'm online with him all the time. I want to tell you frankly, he's gone. They are marching towards the capital city of Africa. It's a battle. Is America helping you anymore? Because you have caused a retributive state that you have disintegrated. You have changed the character of a state. Why is we have changed the character of a state, changed it into look here, Miriam. Gorbachev told Yeltsin, Boris Yeltsin, the mayor of Moscow, that I've been a member of the Communist Party, but I don't know the legs, the arms, the limbs, the stomach, the head, the intestines, the liver of the Communist Party. I have been in it for a long time, but I want you to come and help me to reform it. What happened next? What happened next, Miriam? You were younger by then. I was here. The communist state in 1989 collapsed. Russia was no more. This is where we are heading. That's all what we have been saying the whole morning. Disintegration of a state, the lack of BBI. If you don't do a BBI, let's meet near the waiting room or hell. I close my remarks. Thank you. I'm still here.
Okay, Doctor, thank you so much for that. And that marks the end of our first session and first topic. So now I'd like for us to just go straight to the topic that already Doctor has talked about, and that is on Ethiopia. Tigray forces marching towards Addis Ababa. A bloody 8-month battle for control of the North Ethiopian state of Tigray has spilled over into the neighboring region of Afar. In the past week, at least 20 civilians have been killed and 54,000 people have been displaced. Reports have confirmed as fears grow over fast-developing humanitarian crisis. There are reports of numerous airstrikes targeting TPLF positions in Afar over the past few days. Now, the TPLF are fighting the Ethiopian army and its allies in Afar, which borders Tigray. A spokesperson for Afar has said that Tigrayan fighters captured 3 districts in the region this week. The TPLF were the regional government of Tigray until they were ousted by federal forces last November. The TPLF have been designated a terrorist organization by the Ethiopian government, but the rebels say they are the legitimate regional government of Tigray.
Yes. Nothing is going to be very far from what I've just told you. I'm now telling you and confirming, right? Is it a problem to be associated to Tigray? I am not an Ethiopian, but this is the man who has been my friend for almost 25 years to 30 years. A younger man is younger than me, but he's the chief spokesman of the TPLF. He said it won't take long before they arrive in the outskirts of. And already, if you know, Ethiopia is in chaos because the Oromo are fighting the Ethiopian government. Opposition is fragmented. The state of fragmentation. A state fragments. When you start doing the Muturi style of things. Have you seen now? Look, no. If you think I'm not a good lecturer, then you go and hire one from Mars. If you are my student in the class, wouldn't you understand me better? Because my lessons go straight to each other. We have just talked about Kenya going towards the route of disintegration. If the politics of BBI does not hold here, if we don't do BBI, we don't redempt. We want that 90%. You are giving me 10, but where's the 9? Which Miriam, you see Miriam is a lady on this panel. But she said, I want my, what about the other one? So look at the ladies in the village whose children have been killed, maimed, slaughtered. The state starts disintegrating. The state of Ethiopia started disintegrating the moment Dr. Abiy Ahmed started shaking hands with a very dangerous terrorist called Isaiah Isaiah. I told you I am frank, I don't care. Because I've been with them. We were called the Gang of Four. The Gang of Four Blacks in London. Gang of Four, 1987. Go and check. The Gang of Four, Matanga, Zenawi, Isaiah, and Dr. Tedros. One has died, 3 are still there. We don't know what God has kept us. But you look. One went, became the chairman of World Health Organization. You see that Dr. Nyachama, he's the chairman. Matanga is the only one who has remained around in that group, who still says there is something wrong. Because I was, in terms of age, I beat some of them by age. It was only Isaiah who was older. So now we would be the same age with Matanga. Tedros is the same, is younger. But I said here that the feast across in Asmara is going to bring tears in the horn of Africa. Songa, isn't it true today?
Very true.
Miriam, you were there. Didn't I tell you? Tawish, Kirimi, all of you were there. I said it was a very terrible mistake for this man to go and cross and shake hands and then earn a Nobel Prize for shaking hands with a man who gives a sanctuary to terrorists. No, you telling me? Isn't it here now? Those guys are moving. Miriam has just told you. But my biggest picture here is who is supporting Tigray? I think Miriam you have to bring us again as a full topic. Who is supporting Tigray? Where are they getting the strength to march on a government, dismembering, throw it out in the dustbin of history? Is Ethiopia the same as Nigeria? Yes. There are two big economies, one in the West, the other one in the Horn of Africa, sinking. Sinking. Nigeria is sinking because of Buhari and the bad manners. Buhari has a height, very tall height, in height 6 point something feet, but the brain is 0. I think there's water in his brain. Actually, water is a liquid, but the porridge. While on this side, we have a prime minister who has an NGO, who believes in NGO politics. He went and dismantled, put pressure on the other prime minister who was there. The man resigned in the morning. He said, I cannot manage this. Look at that today. Across the bridge in Asmara, I don't think we need to talk much more than that. We have no much time. Let's move on. I have summarized it, unless there's anybody who has something extraordinary and plenipotentiary, bring it here. But mine is that I am an authority on it, because I speak from an authoritative point of view with a spokesman whom I know. He won't tell me a lie. Addis Ababa is collapsing, sinking. A few weeks ago, I told people, let's remove our capital. Some people were telling me where to take it where. Now, diplomats there, some have already arrived in Nairobi. Miriam, I submit.
All right. Doc, thank you so much. Yes, indeed. The thing that Nigeria and Ethiopia have in common, Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, followed by Ethiopia. Very well. Anybody else? But I think Doctor has exhausted that topic for us. So perhaps you just get on with the other topic we have, and that is the weaponization of corona vaccine for regime change in Africa. Poorer and less influential countries, especially those in Africa, are caught in the middle, facing obstacles to accessing vaccines with likely negative effects on their prospects for a smooth post-pandemic recovery. In Africa, European actors through the COVAX facility have politicized the vaccine as they try to show the benevolence towards Africa while reaping soft power diplomatic benefits in return. So we've seen the politics of vaccine, and now the vaccine is being used as a weapon to twist certain African countries.
Again, I am going away now. Let me give you a hint. The United States of America supplied 230,000 doses of COVID Johnson & Johnson to Zimbabwe. Believe me or not, to the MDC, not to Zimbabwe. So, if you are now going to supply opposition party, yet everybody in Zimbabwe needs that medicine, what type of policy is that? I leave it to you to discuss this morning, media.
All right, that was quick. Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Nyanchaba.
Thank you, Miriam. First of all, before I jump to that, I wanted to make a spiritual statement. For African leaders, especially those involved in conflict, you remember the Bible statement, what does it benefit a man if he acquires the whole world and loses his soul? I think they need to reflect on that. Coming to the issue of COVID, of course, Miriam, we have said in this forum before, these people, they give with one hand under the flashing light of cameras and take with the other hand in the shadows. It is always expected because we have always preached here that the African leaders only want what benefits them instead of empowering research institutions to do research. We have very intelligent people. I think because of attitude and culture, we are still being used as the doormat of the West. You see, immediately this pandemic broke out, they went into research and they have come up with this, and now they are using it as a carrot, so that they gain the interests which was difficult to get. Now it is easier because, when your health is threatened, there is nothing that puts you in a vulnerable situation like a healthy situation. So the West know this, and they are using it as a software of so that they exchange it for bigger resources. Now they are into their real interest. This is the time they are going to get what they have always wanted. Let me tell you, Miriam, a sick person can give you anything if you can guarantee him or her recovery. If you get a billionaire in bed and you say, I need 100 billion to resuscitate your health, Miriam, he will give it to you. The same way these developed countries want to do at this pandemic. Now they have got us, our clothes down, so they want to take really advantage. Africa, please, can we wake up? And it is unfortunate how insensitive these people are. Miriam, there are no better words I can put it. I want only to agree that they are now taking advantage. I hope it is going to be a change maker for African nations. I submit, Miriam.
Well, Samuel Sawish.
Thank you so much, Miriam. And I think just taking the cue from what Dr. David Masanga and Dr. Joseph Nyanchama have already said, in as far as, of course, the Western power countries or those countries, nations that are wealthy, taking advantage of the situation, the vulnerability that is African continent, really to manipulate us and use us for their own benefit and for their own good. I think nothing is further from the truth, Miriam, that what we are seeing today is an act of hypocrisy coming from the rich nations internationally, trying to exploit this particular situation, not for the benefit or for the good of the African people, but I think there's a hidden agenda or motive behind the selective kind of course, even the issuance of giving of the COVID-19 vaccinations or vaccine, Miriam, because you've seen it. In fact, Dr. Masanga himself is one who told us You remember he's expounded on that we have had US, of course, giving, say, for example, the vaccine to Zimbabwe. And giving to Zimbabwe not necessarily because they wish well for Zimbabwe or they want the people of Zimbabwe in their numbers to get the vaccine. But I think it's a selective kind of approach so that they create a conflict even amongst us. And as they create that conflict amongst us, when we are left divided or fighting amongst us because there's a feeling of being disenfranchised, there's a feeling of being left out. You know, Africans traditionally are vulnerable. They have not done so much of research even to be in a position to produce these vaccines by themselves. I think the COVID-19 pandemic, Miriam, should really teach us a very big lesson because for the last over 1.5 years almost now, March last year when the COVID-19 pandemic struck the world, I think there are so many lessons that African people really can learn. That perhaps it's time for us also to invest more on research and more on how we can produce drugs of our own, vaccines of our own, so that we are not caught flat-footed like you've been caught in this pandemic of the COVID-19, Miriam. Because now we are actually at the mercy of the Western power countries. We are just but waiting whether they're going to drop a few vaccines for our people. Look, for example, Kenya today, about 50 million population, and you have a paltry 1 million people having been vaccinated. Are we really in the process or towards even defeating this COVID-19 if we are to go by the numbers of the people who have been vaccinated, Miriam? So I think generally we must go back to the drawing board and think how we are going to empower our people, how we are going to concentrate and put more resources on research other than just treating. Because what we have today in terms of, say, for example, our psychiatrists, our doctors, they are only but trained on how to treat. But we are not putting so much resources and attention when it comes to doing research and see how we can be able to produce these vaccines on our own. I think Kenya has tried to make some strides in as far as how we can put more resources on research. I saw last time when President Kenyatta was launching, I think, something to do with malaria, a vaccine in the coastal region, and Uganda as well, just a few other days, was trying to put up the same. I think these are things that we need now to do so that we cannot be continually at the mercy of the Western power countries, because when they do, we become their exploits, we become vulnerable, we become subjects to their dictates, and this is something we cannot continue to live in, especially during this 21st century. Miriam, I submit.
Right, very well. Daniel Wesonga.
Yes, thank you very much, Miriam. And of course, it's quite unfortunate that in the countries like US, UK, as we continue seeing information of their people being enticed with chocolate and burger for them to be able to take vaccine. Only in Africa, a small paltry of the 2.1 billion people who have been vaccinated globally, Africa only brags of 1% vaccination. And that tells you that there has been massive hoarding of the vaccine in the African continent, which makes the continent quite vulnerable. And that adds to the basket of the international aid and funds that they have been using as a bait to manipulate and cajole the African countries in order to be able to usurp powers from leadership that may be for the day. So you see, if they deny the population of the vaccine, it makes the government of the day to be actually a lapdog of these international powers which are producing vaccines. And therefore, if you do not dance to their tune, they are more likely to put much restriction on your country in terms of providing the COVID vaccine, as well as other financial aid that has been coming from the Western powers. And therefore, that really steals the democratic right from the people. It steals also the legitimacy of the governments in Africa. And that only serves to suppress the people of Africa. And that is why there are some concerns that these could actually be also the latest tool in ensuring that the European powers and the Western world advance their regime change tactics on the African continent. I would like just to emphasize on what my brother Tarisha said, that African countries should now emulate whatever the Western countries have been doing. Countries, other East Asian countries like India have been doing in terms of putting up efforts in research and being able to put up structures and facilities to produce their own vaccine. I believe that is the greatest lesson that Africa Africa should take our way home after the pandemic, that we need to be prepared. We need to come up with our own homegrown bred remedies for such a scenario in case a scenario like whatever happened with this pandemic comes up in future. Because whenever we are caught unawares and prepared, then it means that we are always going to be slaves to these Western powers. Miriam, I submit.
All right, and that is where we end our conversation this afternoon. Dr. Matanga, I don't know if you have anything else to end the show for us. All right, I take it he has left the conversation. Douglas Kiwimi as well has left the conversation a while ago. And Javan Karanja, thank you so much. Samuel Tawish, Daniel Wesonga, and Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, as well as Dr. David Matanga, who will be back with you tomorrow early in the morning for more news from across Kenya, Africa, and indeed across the world. This has been Africa Showdown. My name is Miriam Ogoto. It has been a pleasure. Bye-bye for now.